Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. I wanted to go over what to do when you have multiple interviews and you want to rank the sites, but you're not exactly sure how to do that. And it may be as simple as, well, I felt comfortable there or I didn't feel comfortable at another place. But usually it's actually quite complicated in terms of deciding what's most important. So let me actually go back to the word priority. We've only recently used the word priority as a plural. Technically, a priority is the most important thing. You can't have two priorities. That is, one is more important than the other. You're making a choice. Am I going to go here or here? But what people like to do is they like to make their Excel spreadsheets. And I want to give you 7 of the I think most important things that you should consider in the order that I would consider them. Now, it may be a little bit different for you. If you listen to the interview with Brandon Dyson of TLDR Pharmacy, location was the primary priority, but he had already taken care of that by applying to only area school or area residencies that were in Washington, D.C. or in those areas. But even so, it might be location like it's only half hour from where I live versus an hour from where I live or something like that. Now, this is what I would put as my priorities and then the order that I would put them. And I'll talk a little bit about each. The first is the relationship with the RPD. Not just your relationship, but how does it seem that the residents are getting along? There is nothing more important than your immediate boss in terms of your job satisfaction, because if things go awry, that's the person that you need to talk to. And if that's someone that you can't talk to, then you're going to be stuck. And I found over and over again, and talking to people that graduated from residency, it was their residency director that was the one thing that mattered more than anything else in terms of their residency experience, and then them moving on as well to PGY2 or to jobs, because a good residency director not only provides a great experience, a comfortable environment, but also is connected to other people. For me, the number of co-residents would matter. This might not be important to you. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I am the only resident. I really enjoyed being able to talk to other residents and just to have a break and other people that are going through the same thing that I did. Now, I did the match with my wife, so it's a little bit different, but even so, I would want a lot of co-residents, and I just think it's so valuable to have somebody that went on. For example, someone could have gone on the ID rotation before you did it. You can talk to them. What should I do? What should I expect? What are the things that I need to watch out for? It just completely makes a huge difference in enjoying the residency experience. Number 3, location. When I talk about location, I don't necessarily mean around the country. For me, location would have had to have been near, uh, not, I would say an academic medical center, but I like being in college towns. That just is a really cool environment for me. And that was really a big deal that convinced me to go with my wife. I was like, all right, look, we're going to go, but I really want to be within X number of miles of the school. And I ended up taking entrepreneurship class, and I ended up coaching as a volunteer assistant for the Division I cross country team at that college during residency. So those were really important to me. And when I talk about location, I didn't necessarily mean state. That was important to her. But what location meant for me was I'm close enough that I can go to college football games or basketball games or wrestling or whatever it is and be part of that college's community. So that was a really, really important thing for me. Number 4 would be electives. This really doesn't apply as much in community pharmacy residencies, but certainly in hospital. The more electives you have that you like, the more it is like a PGY2. So where in PGY1 they teach you what you have to know, in PGY2 it's so much more fun because it's what you want to know. So although you could be at a children's hospital, even in PGY1, there's still so many things that you have to do that you may be like, meh. So I love that meh emoji. But no, you just don't want to do those things, and it makes for a very tough year. But if there are a lot of electives and you got to choose a lot of the things that you're exploring, it makes a complete difference. Just think about your APPEs and how you were doing there when you were in something that you had to do, especially if you're going to be a hospital pharmacist and you had to do community, or if you want to be a community pharmacist and you had to do hospital and IVs and all those things. Yeah, you got to know it for the NABPLEX in the same way that a resident has to know it for their practice. But the more electives you have, I assure you, the better the situation is going to be. So I would have put that as my number 4. And that just would be really important to me. Number 5, I put teaching and precepting opportunities. When you're making your application, you're thinking, I'm going to really enjoy precepting and helping other students. But when you're new to it, it feels like a lot of work. And you're going to be a little confused why, okay, I don't understand, why is this student having so much trouble doing the things that I asked them to do, and why are they not doing it at the level that I want to do it? And the reality is that you're at the top. You're someone who's doing, getting into residency, so you're more of a higher end, I hate to say higher end student, but you're a better qualified student maybe than the person who's there, and they may be in a situation where they're sitting there going, yeah, I don't even want to be here. This is a required rotation and I don't want to be here. Where you wanted to be there. So it's a completely different dynamic. And so that's why I put it a little bit lower on the list, teaching precepting opportunities, because in that first year, while it is satisfying to some extent, it also is a ton of work. And I wouldn't really say that's why I want to go to that site. Number 6, PGY2 is available. So in terms of a PGY2, I would want to know, okay, well, let's see, I want to do ID afterwards, or I want to do internal med, or I want to do oncology. What we're seeing is a real preference for early commit now, where it's just so much work for the RPD to try to find a PGY2 from outside and then also make sure that they're qualified. It's just so much easier to just keep someone on, especially when they have many co-residents. So PGY2s available would be in my number 6, but that wouldn't really be something that I was really looking for when I was doing it. And then staffing requirements, I would put dead last. Because I'm imagining myself as a single person doing this. If I was a single person and I didn't have anything else going on, then I wouldn't really care so much about the staffing requirements. The staffing requirements actually make you a pretty good hospital pharmacist in terms of understanding what's going on. Now, it will lead to burnout to some extent. Some of the staffing requirements are pretty draconian. But in terms of choosing where I want to go, if I've got a good RPD with tough staffing requirements, it's a much better situation than having a bad RPD and no staffing requirements. I just always want to go home. So I think that the staffing requirements, to some extent, would be the last on my list. Now, if you have a young family, you're expecting something like that, staffing requirements might be first on your list, that there's little to no staffing requirements. It's amazing how much they vary. For some people, they have to do on-call, they have to do the pager, they have to do weekends, and they have very little outside life. On the other hand, there are some that have very few staffing requirements, if any, especially in community pharmacy, where you might just have to do 1 day a week that's included in the normal weekday. So again, that's something to look at. So let's, just do one real quick run through of them. Number 1 would definitely be the relationship with my immediate supervisor, or RPD. Number 2 would be the number of co-residents. I would want a lot of co-residents. Number 3 would be the location, close to a college. It doesn't have to be College of Pharmacy, but I just kind of like that college atmosphere where I can go to football games and be a part of that. I don't want to be in some suburban area or even rural area. Electives, definitely want it to be something that I'm going to have opportunities month after month to do things that I'm really interested in and to prepare me for the next year. Teaching precepting opportunity is not really that important to me. I know it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be cool to have other people that I can help, but this is not a priority. Although in my current life, teaching is something that I absolutely love, and I want to make sure that I'm making clear that it's not that I don't want to teach, it's that when you're teaching during a residency, it becomes a lot of extra work. And when you're trying to do your clinical duties and all of that, I would just want a lighter teaching load. PGY2 is available. Number 6. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if the ID was there, and this would be something that I would certainly like, but it would be lower on my list. And then finally, staffing requirements. I can suck it up and work some extra hours. That's not a big deal. But as long as I have an RPD that's really looking out for me, I think that would be a great situation. So again, it's coming up. Again, 1,400 people unfortunately didn't get interviews. 2,600 will get turned down on match day. I'm going to make myself available to help with as many LOIs as I can. I don't know what my capacity is going to be, but I can tell you that you want to start now applying to other jobs as if you didn't get a match. And I know that seems counterintuitive, and that's definitely counter to what a lot of people will tell you. But the last thing you want to do is be there in March finding out that you have 2,600 other people who are wanting to apply, and it's really 4,000 if you had the 1,400 that didn't get interviews, that want to apply to either phase 2, where you have a 2 out of 20 chance, a 19 or 20 on a 20-sided die, or that you're competing with those 2,600 people for what's left of the pharmacy jobs. And I assure you, these are not the jobs that people really want to have coming out of school. So right now, you should be looking. I love hireedjobs.com as a website to kind of look for those nerdy jobs that I would love and other things, and just start applying. The application process takes a long time. And I think you'll learn quite a bit about yourself and quite a bit about the job market. It'll also give you some practice as you're doing these interviews. And then the last thing is it gives you something to do instead of counting the days like, okay, this is February 14th. That makes 30 days and 6 hours or whatever it is till match day and so forth, and keeps you from going crazy. All right. Well, if you ever want to get in touch with me, again, Tony Farm D1 on Facebook, or AAGUERRA@dmacc.edu if you want to email me. Wish you the best. And make sure to sign up for the residencyhelp.com email list. I continue to send out something every Friday to help you guys out. I have that interview book that's still free and have some codes available at residencyhelp.com. Hey, and if you're interested in learning more about the residency interview process, go to residencyhelp.com or amazon.com or audible.com and pick out 100 strong residency interview questions, answers, and rationales.